And welcome to Brew Report. My name is Lawrence, and each week I take you on a fresh adventure in the world of beer at brewreport.co.uk. How do you buy your beer? Recently we've become faced with an ever-increasing myriad of ways to buy beer, whether that's just picking it up from the supermarket shelves, popping into your local bottle shop, or buying directly from the brewers themselves. What's picked up particularly recently is beer subscription services. This week I've tried out an introductory deal from one of those providers, Honest Brew. Honest Brew provides a monthly subscription service starting at £10 per month. That £10 goes into a credit that you build up each month that you can then use to buy beers from their website. Members get a slight discount relative to general members of the public, and so in theory this allows you to buy beers slightly cheaper than you could have done otherwise at the expense of having to commit to that minimum monthly subscription charge. Now, before we get kicked off properly, I just need to clarify here, I am in no way affiliated or sponsored by Honest Brew. This is just one of the many beer subscription boxes that I've picked up in the past to try and get a feel for what sort of beers they're offering. If you would like to know more about what different beer subscription services can offer, check out my blog. I've got some links in the description below where I've compared some of the offerings from those online beer retailers and how they compare to one another. That's enough chat. Let's see what we've got inside the box. As is always the case with these boxes, you're always going to get a fair chunk of marketing for various other products they think that you might like, whether that's pasta, jeans, wines. Some of these will be good value and some of them will be very useful. A lot of them will be going straight in the recycling. So here's the contents of the box. 6 different beers for which I paid in total £13.99 inclusive of all the delivery costs. That reflects an average value per beer of £2.33. That, on the face of it, seems to be pretty good value. It's a little bit more than you might expect to pay for just standard fridge fillers at the supermarket, but it's less than you'd probably pay at a specialist bottle shop if you were to buy each of these beers individually. If we look on the website, each of these beers is listed at its sort of open market value for between £2.50, £2.99. They've all been sort of, as part of this introductory offer, these all get discounted to £2.50 per bottle as part of that introductory deal. By taking part in this deal, we've picked up a fair bit of variety as well. We've got, as you normally tend to find with these subscription services or online retailers, of course the retailer itself has done a collaboration with a brewer. They brought out their own beer. Generally these run a lot cheaper than beers you'd find that are just produced by breweries themselves. So starting off with that, we've got the Bueno IPA, a collaboration with Honest Brew themselves. We've also got a bourbon barrel-aged stout that's retailing here for £2.50 a bottle, which seems absurdly cheap, given a lot of what we've seen from other retailers of bourbon barrel-aged beers. I'm interested to see how this tastes and see how this compares, but I'm certainly so far impressed by the fact that they've managed to retail this so cheaply, given the amounts of extra processing time and the additional cost that's involved with aging beer in barrels. We've got this Pomelo Squeezer Grapefruit Lager. We have an Amber Ale by Brewers Mackinaw and a Hazy Pale Ale, so keeping things traditionally crafty for the finish. So here are some of the beers that you can get from Honest Brew. The next question for me is whether they're any good, and for that I'm going to have to taste a couple of them. Bueno. It is a collaboration with Basqueland. They put together this West Coast Pale. It is 62 IBUs, 5.6% ABV. Let's see what we've got in the can. Foaming up a little there. Pardon me for getting overexcited. And as we all know, it's only ever really a good pour if it's at least 50% head. We didn't address the can on this one, and I'm going to do that quickly now. It's a lot of different pastels, some slightly abstract pastel cloud pattern that we got printed on here. It's fairly unremarkable. It's not anything that's making me desperately reach out for this beer, but I'm intrigued to see what's in it. It means that whatever is inside the can is likely to look a lot better than what is on the outside. Looking at the beer itself, we've got a pale gold body, mostly clear, but a little bit of cloudiness there, with a fairly strong, a fairly large white head, with a fairly close bubble structure. The aroma's not punching me in the face when I give this one a sniff, if I'm perfectly honest, and I wonder how much of that is just because there's so much head on this beer. I'm going to take a sip, and hopefully as the bubbles dissipate, then we'll have a better idea of exactly what we're dealing with. Okay, so beer very much in the West Coast fashion here. It's very dry. Immediately I'm smacked in the face by grapefruit and pine resin flavours that really sort of cut through any other kind of sensation we could have had there. There's a hint of sort of smoothness, a slight stickiness to the mouthfeel. It makes me think there's probably some oats in here, or some kind of some other kind of sort of thickener, some other kind of protein source in this beer that's helping to give it a little bit of extra thickness. But those resinous, bitter flavours are really helping to cut through that and balancing it in a very lovely way. Yeah, that head retention is incredible. That's really sticking around. It's very thick, and you know, aesthetically, it's very pleasing to get a head retention like that on top of your beer. I was worried when I read the ingredients on this beer, because it does list CO2. It has been artificially carbonated after brewing. But that doesn't seem to hurt it at all. It's certainly got some effervescence to it. There is some carbonation there, but it's not overwhelming at all. And it's still quite a pleasant experience. It works nicely with the oats and the wheat that are in there, in the same way that we're getting those grapefruit and pine resin bitterness flavours cutting through that sort of slight thickness in the mouthfeel. Those bubbles are really helping to back that up. On the finish, we're getting a lot of bitterness, more of that grapefruit rind again. It doesn't hang around too long, but it's not an unpleasant sensation. It's not bad. It's not blowing my mind, but it's good, and that's certainly more than it's more than I've come to expect from many of the collaboration beers I've tried in the past. So in that sense, we're probably onto a good thing. If you gave me a case of this, I would quite happily seek out and buy a case of these if I were having some friends over. Back in the days when we were allowed to have friends over, this is the sort of thing that I would probably try to stock up on. As we said before, we've got 6 beers there for £13.99. So on a per beer basis, for the variety you're getting, it looks like a pretty good deal, certainly as an introductory offer. Thereafter, you're getting a slight discount on what Honest Brew says is the market price for their beers, around 30p per beer. But you are then tied in to some degree, paying this £10 a month minimum subscription fee that you can then use to buy any of those beers and get them delivered. Now, clearly with all of these subscription boxes and services, your mileage is going to vary. If you are a beer aficionado who's got a very particular set of tastes, who has a checklist of breweries that they want to tick off, this is probably not going to be for you. If you are a beer expert, if you see yourself as being a beer expert, probably not the best use of your time or money here. If you are a complete novice, if you've just graduated and said, I've had enough of buying crates of Carling and I want to move on to something a little bit more interesting, this might be for you, but honestly, it could be a little bit overwhelming having to pick each of the beers that you get in each of the boxes you buy. You may be better off with a more structured subscription box where you get a selection of beers picked for you rather than having to make those choices yourself. If you're somewhere in the middle, though, if you are neither a complete novice nor a hardened veteran, if you are a beer aficionado, but you haven't yet hardened your heart to snobbery, then you may find that Honest Brew is actually a pretty good fit. It exposes you to a selection of new beers that you might not otherwise have been able to experience, offers a very slight discount. It's around 10% roughly speaking, but that's not to be sniffed at given the amount of money that we're talking about here. In that sense, it may be a pretty decent deal. It's not going to compare to the experience of going to a bottle shop or going to a brewery taproom and trying out their beers yourself and talking to the brewer, talking to the people there and getting their input and that expert guidance. But if you're looking for an online-only solution and something that's relatively quick and straightforward, this could well be for you. That's what I thought of Honest Brew. What I'm interested to know now is, what did you think? Are you a subscriber? Have you ever subscribed to a beer subscription box service? And what did you think of that? Do you have particularly strong opinions on some of the subscription boxes that are out there? Let me know in the comments below. that's it from me for this time. Until next week, happy drinking.